What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters: Salosi, Jake Nader78, Matt Glanton, Crazy Jack Donan, Jacob Leppin, Mr. Vladik, Tobias Gladden, The Gimpster 101, Griffin Burt, Macon Gallen, and Ryan Dillo. Thank you all so much for your support. And if you want to support us on Patreon, feel free to click the link down below and check it out. Thanks again. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day to be a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot express the impact that Fred Rogers had on my life. From childhood all the way up until I was in high school. And then, of course, in high school, you know, all the stuff you stuff like that as a kid. So stupid now. But I didn't think so. I still valued everything I learned from Mr. Rogers. Everything. And people say, oh, but Mr. Rogers was Sesame Street. He didn't talk about the serious stuff. The man...
Not entirely true.
The man talked about death, divorce, war, race relations. He even talked about assassination. Who does that in a children's program? And expresses it in a way that kids can not only understand, but makes the kids ask questions as to why these things would happen. And he would express answers that they would be able to understand and be able to absorb and know that this is how the world is, but we shouldn't let it change us. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful stuff. And Fred Rogers, I mean...
A pioneer in children's television.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just wasn't into it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I respect him, though. When I got older, I gained respect for Mr. Rogers, just knowing, like, what all he did, you know, going before the government and telling them they need to start caring about kids and quit being so stuck up and invest in the youth and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I would like to, I'd like to, actually, that speech, you saw the video of the speech,
Was
right?
it in front of Congress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went in front of Congress, and much like a Francis Capra movie, the guy just told Congress how it was and what he did, and the people on Congress were just like, well, that's just spectacular. I think you just earned yourself a raise there, Mr. Rogers. And the funding for public children's television went from $9 million to $22 million, just like that, all because Fred Rogers made a speech telling how we should teach children how to teach children better lessons.
Well, they had, you know, orphan children or fatherless children or motherless children all over the place who had, you know, crap influence on their lives, and he wanted to change that and give them at least a chance, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's a cool thing he was doing, man. It's a lot different than the other children's programs that are just trying to make money and you know, capitalize on
so-called like babysitting programs that are just there to keep kids interested while their parents don't have to watch them for a minute to get some housework done, basically.
Yeah.
But his was legitimate and like had, like you were saying, weight to what the messages were, and weren't just like, A is an apple. Here's a commercial about Cheetos you shouldn't be eating.
He was actually like inserting some good lessons that some parents might not think to teach their kids, and then basically giving them a helping hand with the parenting job.
Exactly.
Overall.
And he
I think he might be actually responsible directly or indirectly for a lot of people turning out as better people than they would have.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but there was also another influence that Fred Rogers had on everyday life, especially like near the end for us when we were younger. A lot of television stations were angry at VCR makers because they included a record function.
Yeah.
And Fred Rogers said that's just ignorant. People should, if people have the means to record your programs and watch them at their own leisure, then why should they be denied that? I encourage people to record my program and then watch it with your family later. I mean, I want that. I want people to be able to enjoy my program in its entirety at their convenience. And that's a novel thing that we talk about now, but that was actually a serious thing back in the day.
Oh, I bet they were pissed, man.
They were, and Fred Rogers didn't care. And that's why I love the guy. I mean, and
the real OG.
And there's going to be a lot of people out there in the comment section saying Fred Rogers was a sniper in Korea, Fred Rogers was a sniper in Vietnam. He never was. He never enlisted. He was the man was the man is an accomplished jazz pianist who went to Rawlings College. He was an ordained Presbyterian minister. He was a vegetarian. He raised countless foster children of any and every ethnicity, much like what his parents did. And he always spoke in a very calm manner and never swore in front of anyone or even in private. The strongest word that ever left his mouth was mercy. Whenever he felt overwhelmed, he would sit down and just like take a deep breath and would just go, "Oh, mercy me." and of
what
course,
a foul mouth.
Exactly.
Right.
How terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself. No.
He's who Walt Disney should have been.
Well, Walt had his faults, no doubt. But he was not a terrible person.
He's living the gimmick.
Kind of, yeah. But
I'm down with it.
But the person they got to play Fred Rogers is Tom Hanks. And I'm interested to see how he look. Well, I saw a promo picture of how he looked, but I'm wondering how he'll do in terms
So
of
is this a... What is this? Is this a reboot, or is it a...
No, it's a movie. No,
I know it's a
Mr.
movie,
Rogers'
but...
Neighborhood was literally Fred Rogers.
Yeah.
That was his on-screen persona. His on-screen.
I realize that,
was
but
him.
what is this?
This is a.
Is
kind
this
of like a biopic, right?
Yeah, is this a biopic or?
Yeah, it's a biopic.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it's a
I didn't know if it was a
biopic
biopic or if they were like rebooting and doing like a
No.
new Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood type thing.
No. They're never going to do that. It's a biography.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what I was
But
hoping.
it's Tom Hanks. Yeah, it's Tom Hanks playing Fred Rogers. Here we go.
Hello, neighbor.
Hey, I'm looking for Fred Rogers. In here.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Please won't you be
My neighbor.
my neighbor? Hello, neighbor.
Mr. Rogers, I'm here to interview you.
It is so nice to meet you.
You okay?
Profiling Mr. Rogers.
Lloyd, please don't ruin my childhood.
This piece will be for an issue about heroes. Do you consider yourself a hero?
We are trying to give the world positive ways of dealing with their feelings.
Yeah? Like what?
There are many things you can do. You can play all the lowest keys on a piano at the same time.
You love broken people. Like me.
Sometimes we have to ask for help, and that's okay. I think the best thing we can do is to let people know that each one of them is precious.
Hey, Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Please won't you be my neighbor?
That was wonderful.
That actually happened. That actually happened to Fred Rogers when he was on his way to a business meeting in New York City. He couldn't take a cab because it was a traffic jam, so he decided to take the subway. And very slowly, people started to notice it was him, and then they all started to sing his song. And it was, he said later on, he said he wished that he would have joined in singing, because him sitting there, he was just so taken aback by it that he didn't really think to sing.
Seeing Tom Hanks in this just reminded me of like the Forrest Gump horror movie trailers that were made.
Oh God!
They have to make one of this.
Oh no! You have to say
have to make the horror theme music in the background and shit. You know it'll be great, especially with the people singing or him singing that song.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. I know it's going to happen. So
it probably will. Now that you've said it, someone's just going to be, oh, that is a thing. And then you're just going to start working on it right now. And we're probably going to get it requested in our Discord to watch. And said, so. You're welcome, Chad.
Please.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. This looks good, though. I mean, he looks a lot like him.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little bit chunkier.
Well, yeah, Fred was a very skinny person.
Yeah.
He, at his weight, he always weighed 143 pounds.
Yeah. Well, not like Tom Hanks is fat or anything.
No,
He's just a smaller dude than Tom Hanks.
Fred was a very slim-built guy.
Yeah, this is going to be cool.
Oh, yeah. I think so. I hope so. Because,
I'll definitely watch it.
Because I want to. Because, you see, Fred... I will say this. As much as I love Fred Rogers, there were things about him that a lot of people didn't... like. There's things that people disagree with about him in his legacy. For instance, Francois Clement, a singer that he brought on his show back during the 60s, where, you know, black people and white people weren't allowed to share the same bathroom back then. Back then, or, you know, he had a little swimming pool that he was, like, for the cool, you know, he was like, very hot day out here, and I was just cooling myself off. And then Francois comes up, and Francois then sits down, and he's like, may I join you, Mr. Rogers? And they both sit there, and they both soak their feet in the pool. And that was a big taboo thing because, you know, black people and white people weren't allowed to use the same pool back then either. Yeah. And it just showed that it's a harmless thing. And they both sang a song, and I think it was how many words it takes to say I love you, I believe was what it was called. And there was one thing about Francois Clement that Fred Rogers, like at the time, Fred didn't really know how to fully handle, because he knew how he could handle race relations and make it to where people could understand it, because the world was ready to move on into a new way of thinking with race relations.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, exactly. But at the time, Francois Clement was a closeted homosexual, and he confided in Fred, and actually wanted to work with Fred on how to break, you know, like show that there are people in the world who are homosexual, and and then Fred Rogers himself, like Francois said that Fred told him one battle at a time, Francois, one battle at a time. Yeah. But Francois, for him it took too long, whereas Fred wanted to eventually, but never got a chance to come back to it because Francois had sort of like had a falling out with Fred over it. And that was one thing about Fred Rogers that a lot of people have a very confusing way of looking at Fred Rogers about that whole situation.
It's a complicated situation, and I don't really think it's as much of a situation where you should be judging somebody as you should just be like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that stress.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Because back then that was like a tremendous amount of stress. Like, especially people that are 5 to 10 years younger than us don't understand the way society used to be before the internet was a thing.
Yes.
Your people around you were literally some of the only people that you could contact whatsoever. So if they were giving you heat about shit, they made your life hell.
Yeah.
And society as a whole had a real slow way of processing information. And people in our generation and the ones very shortly after us got a super speed burst of just like information, the ability to learn and process and decide, you know, for ourselves about things. And we didn't need our families around us or even friends near us. You know, with the internet, we could reach anybody, and shit has changed real quick since you've been alive in comparison to Mr. Rogers on the slow track, still being a frontier kind of guy on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So,
and
judge all you want to, but he was a savage.
It's real easy to judge from like your current perspective. Someone that it just you can't. You have to put yourself in the situation they were in at the time.
But
exactly.
For them, we have kind of an understanding of what that could be like.
We do. And,
yeah.
But
well,
for younger people than us, I mean, they can't comprehend how slow shit used to be before it, you know, like it is now.
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy in comparison.
And you see, and the way you talk about, you know, your family sort of being the only like the people you know sort of being your only way.
All
of,
you have to
like,
bounce information off of,
exactly.
other than the television.
And thankfully, I had family members who are homosexual, and my great grandmother was a great influence because I told you about my cousins who are a little bit, you know, stupid.
Oh yeah, hateful about it.
Yeah, they're very, 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 very mean. Very mean-spirited people because they are so stupid. Well, they are. They're literally angry at the world because
bluntly.
Dude, they have problems doing like basic multiplication, like anything times 10. They're just like, I don't get this. No, really, they're that stupid. And they decide to take out their frustrations on my cousin and my uncle, who were both gay, and my great grandmother. Literally at the family table after church, stood up, looked at them, and says, "Get out of my house right now. I will not allow you to do this to them. They have done nothing wrong to you. I don't care what lives they live. They are not doing any harm to you, and you have no right to say these things to them." And they're like, but Granny is like, she's like, "I don't want to hear it. Get out of my house right now." And she pretty much kicked out my two cousins who were being royal assholes.
Yeah.
And you know.
They're out there, man.
They are.
They
are, but they're nowhere near the frequency they used to be.
Should have been watching more Mr. Rogers, damn it.
I wish. I only wish.
Yeah, I heard a thing that I really liked. It was like, if you're ever facing a difficult decision in your life, once you come across, like, you know, what you think you're going to do, just think to yourself first and be like, would Mr. Rogers be proud of me for this decision?
There you go.
And
there you go.
It's almost like the what would Jesus do type thing, you know? It's an alternate version of that you can
except
use.
Most kids nowadays would just be like, who the hell's Mr. Rogers?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they know him from is like a meme nowadays.
Yeah, but at least with people of like our age, we can use that to our advantage, you know?
We can, which is a good thing. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this. This was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood official trailer, the Fred Rogers biopic starring Tom Hanks. What do you all think? Do you all think Tom Hanks is a good fit? If you think so, let us know in the comments down below.
I can't wait to go see this because I think it's just going to be like a day brightening experience to see this movie.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I hope so. But if you all are interested in this film, let us know. And, hey, leave a like on the video. We'd greatly appreciate it. And until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
I'm Chad.
We'll see you then, everybody. Peace out.